Hello and welcome to Eco Girl in a Modern World. My name is Shelly and my channel is dedicated to talking about ways to be more environmentally friendly in a modern context. So since it is the beginning of December, I decided to go ahead and make this video about holiday fashion. If you follow my channel, we talk a lot about having a particular set of rules when we talk about fashion. I always encourage that you buy secondhand, that you buy natural fibers, that you look at the material content to see if the garment is easily washed and able to be laundered. We also talk about buying, trying to be ethical in the way that we buy, meaning that, if it's bought secondhand or if it's made from dead stock materials or if it's made with organic or fair trade sourced materials. So that's just some of the things we're going to be talking about as we talk about holiday fashion. It's always a really exciting time of the year. Again, after the holidays, after Thanksgiving, everything is aglow with lights and sales, and it's very tempting to go out there and buy all new clothes or all new decor. But this is just some of the ways that you can still be green with it without spending too much money and without having to buy everything new. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. First off, it is a really warm and fun time of the year. And of course, just because you want to be green doesn't mean that you can't enjoy all of the wonderful things about the season. There's twinkling lights, there's decorations. And so, of course, you want to partake in and have fun with it. And one of the first things that I see a lot are the resurgence of movies, both movies that you can see in the movie theater, also movies that you just watch every year when it is, the holiday time. So I had posted on a few of my social media feeds an opinion poll as to what movie to see because there's been quite a few. There are some comedies, about the holiday season, but one of the big movies that has come out is Wicked, which is about the Wizard of Oz and the Wicked Witch of the West. Now, just like with, if you've watched my Barbiecore video, it's very tempting to jump into a theme of a movie. And of course, you want to dress up, right? You want to take the quiz, the opinion, the BuzzFeed quiz that says, okay, which personality are you? Are you Glenda? Are you Elphaba? Do you wear pink? Do you wear green? And for a fact that there's going to be a bunch of collabs. Just like Barbiecore, everybody's going to be coming out with merchandise for Wicked. And I'm not going to show any of it here. To be honest, you can even Google it here. I do sometimes watch, there's rankings of the collabs, like, people say, okay, how good is this collab? But to be honest, it is all consumerism. It's a lot of plastic. It's a lot of creating stuff that you really don't need. And so as entertaining as it is, I like to watch the rankings because you're not necessarily buying the product. You're just saying, okay, how creative was that, that marketing? But again, it makes it very tempting for you to buy the product too. And it isn't that the products that are coming out aren't nice. Like I saw that like Vera Bradley had a collab with Wicked. But when you look, and then there was, I think American Tourister, like they actually have a suitcase that is a blend of pink and green. I mean, they go really all out with it to try to keep it in theme. But when you think about it, just like Barbiecore was pretty much just wear pink, and you can buy pink secondhand, you can do the same thing with Wicked. And actually, that was something I was really kind of excited to see. You could absolutely go to a secondhand retailer like eBay, Mercari, Poshmark, ThreadUp, and just find pink and green clothes or pink and green items that serve. And I feel like that looks a lot cuter and is a lot more creative. And you're not spending a whole lot of money for something new, and you're keeping something that's already in existence in circulation. So I just think that's the best way to go, especially with clothes. I'll admit, I did buy a little leather purse. This was a secondhand leather purse for $10 off eBay. So this is my little contribution to the Wicked. I did see the Wicked movie, and again, you know, and again, with Wicked, it was like pink and green and also a few themes. And, you know, if you watch my channel, I'm an English major. So I always love going by the core themes in the actual book, like The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I've actually read that. And believe it or not, some of the core themes, some of the analogies in that imagery in the book talks about, you know, there was political leanings in the 1870s, which is when the Wizard of Oz kind of takes place. In 1873, there was something called the gold standard put in place where the value of gold was valued more than the value of silver. And if you watch Wicked, or if you actually read the original novel of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's shoes were not ruby slippers, they were silver slippers. The ruby slippers actually came as an MGM, the studio. They were filming in Technicolor, and they just felt like the silver shoes didn't pop as much, so they took a creative license to change it to being ruby. But in the real story, her shoes were silver. And you see that in Wicked. And I actually went ahead and I bought some leather silver shoes to go see the movie. Admittedly, this picture it's me sitting in the theater, so I know my feet look like two loaded potatoes, but they were fun shoes, and I did buy them new, but what it is when you decide to buy something new, the rule that we like to follow is if you're going to buy something new, buy it with the intention of wearing it 30 times or more. So that's what we call the 30 wears rule. And both my little purse here, it is glittery, and my shoes are glittery, but they are both leather. If you look at the inside of it, it is leather. Now the outside of it, yeah, it's probably treated to make it sparkly. But the nice thing about going with that option, and I always encourage this here on my channel, if you are going to do something sparkly, I kind of encourage that you do that with accessories like purses or shoes or wallets, just because you tend to get more wear out of that. And a lot of sparkly shirts or pants, like we've kind of seen it. We went through a sparkly pants, like a glittery pants phase, tends to be a lot of polyester, and it's usually like we said, anytime you wash polyester, there's polyester is made from petroleum, it's made from oil, it's made from gas, which we don't have much of. Plus, every time you wash polyester, little particulates break off and become microplastics that get into our water supply. And it is very difficult to get microplastics out. It's actually proven microplastics are getting into bloodstreams now. So ideally, you don't want to have to wash it as often or at all. And when your accessories are more like a wallet or a purse or shoes, you can clean that without that, emitting as much microplastics as if you were washing a polyester shirt. And the other nice thing is that you can also get that shimmery, like if you want to go with an emerald green or a really pretty pink, you can do that in silk. 100% silk is a beautiful way to get that shine. And if you want to go with more holiday colors like red or green or, gold, you can do that without if it's 100% silk, it being a natural fiber goes a long way. Also, we do see that coming. Silver is actually a good thing to do. It would not only be good for your trip to the movie theater to see Wicked, but as we get past the holidays, in the January, February months when it is nice and chilly and cold, you get that kind of frosty, frozen kind of look with silver, so that transitions really nicely. I actually have a beautiful blue metallic purse that I've had for years, and I like to pull that out in January. One other thing that you probably seen, just to bridge quickly into the kind of silvery, you know, frozen kind of thing, is I did post a few pictures over on my Instagram. I found a beautiful vintage from the 80s frosted bangle bracelet, and I've found some earrings from the 80s that were frosted, and I feel like that's also going to be a really big trend. I actually saw pictures from an 80s article with really frosted type of jewelry, and I just think that's going to be something that will kind of transition to, and as we get into January past New Year's, and you could wear it for New Year's. And actually, when I posted it on Instagram, I remember there's a movie called How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and I'll post the little snippet. But it's so funny. It's about, you know, Matthew McConaughey plays this advertising agent, and he gets inspired by this girl he's dating, and you know, she looks at one of his, you know, this little bangle on her dog and says, "Oh, that's just a little bit of frosting." And it inspires him to do a whole line of like frosted things. And it's a really cute scene. He's pitching the idea to his boss, and they're in New York City, and his boss leans out the window and he goes, "Ladies of New York, frost yourselves." And some lady on the street goes, "Frost this." You know, like, he's like, "Well, I like it. I think it's a good idea." So I always think of that scene and giggle, but I do think that's, you know, that plays into my three. If you watch my channel, I have 3 fashion words, and you know, 80s theme stuff is really me. The earrings that I showed in that post actually were from the 90s. And they're so versatile. They're really kind of mod looking. So I feel like that's another way that you can get into metallics and silks and really make an impact. One other thing that you will definitely see now that it's holiday time is the real textured type of things. You know, as it gets colder, we want it warm and cozy and fuzzy, and so you'll definitely be seeing leather. You'll be seeing, you know, faux fur and real fur. Of course, I always encourage buying vintage. If something is already in creation, or even if it's not vintage, even if it's not 30 years old, if you buy like a faux fuzzy coat that you can clean or steam, disinfect real good, I think that's much better than buying new. But in that vein of texture, you are also going to see a lot of velvets. And it's funny, I just saw this yesterday. I was going into the craft store to get some paper crafting supplies. And while I was there, they had a lot of the fabrics, you know, on sale. And one of the fabrics I saw was a beautiful red. And it was almost like a Meet Me in St. Louis, like if you've ever seen that Judy Garland musical. That's such a great musical because you can watch that at Easter time, and you can also watch that at the holidays too. But in the holiday scene, it's their last, you know, Christmas in St. Louis, and she's wearing this beautiful velvet red gown, and the velvet that I saw hanging there was almost like the same color. And that's actually my favorite scene in that whole movie too, is that she thinks that her last dance is not going to be with her sweetheart, and I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but there's a dance around, a swirl around the Christmas tree and a happy ending, and she's wearing that gorgeous red dress. But in that vein, velvet is a very holiday color. It's a very holiday texture. It gives you texture, and it gives you volume, and it gives you warmth. And again, in the theme of Wicked, you might see that a lot of emerald green, or even more purplish, you know, because in the Broadway show, it looks like Elphaba's wearing green and black, but she's actually wearing green and really dark purple. And you could look up a few of the YouTube videos that talk about the behind the scenes of the making of the movie. It was really quite beautiful. But so some of these deeper jewel tones for the holiday season are definitely in. I actually saw a beautiful kind of it was almost like a baby doll dress that was green velvet, and to be honest, again, when I talk about my 5 rules, I first look at the tag to see what it's made of, and anytime it's velvet, it's most likely going to be 100% or nearly all polyester, which is, again, not good for 2 reasons. First off, it uses oil if you're buying it new. The second thing is it's not always the easiest to launder. You know, always look at the care on the tag as well. Just, you know, I like to think of it as if I'm actually wearing it on my body, you know, it's a different thing if you're wearing shoes or purses, but if you're actually wearing it on your body, you're probably going to be sweating in that garment and you're going to need to care for it. And if you have to dry clean it, or if it takes like really extra care, like laying flat or, you know, special handling, the chances of you wearing that 30 times is going to be kind of long on the spectrum. It would take you longer and more effort to actually wear it 30 times. And let's be honest, how many times do you wear it, you know? So if you do buy something new, you really want to get your wear out of it. So I always like to look to see what it's made of and how easy it is to launder. And it was a beautiful V-neck velvet. It had all of that plushiness that is so pretty, but it was polyester, and honestly it would probably shed microplastics, and it might be difficult to launder. You know, it might leave little fuzzies, and you don't want that. Even if it says, okay, you know, machine wash, you don't want something that's really high maintenance that is going to be, you know, there's a channel who always says, don't buy a problem, you know, so you want to kind of anticipate whether or not it's going to be worth it. But if you do decide, okay, that's absolutely, your heart is set on something like that, you could absolutely find something like that secondhand. I kind of, you know, just did a search on eBay, and I did find some beautiful V-neck tops, and you can, you know, a lot of reputable sellers will show you the tag. It is still 100% polyester. You might be able to put it into like maybe a garment bag to try to wash it easier without any fluffies. But, you know, just bear in mind, you know, it's much better to buy it secondhand because that garment's already in existence and you're keeping, you know, polyester out of the landfill. And who knows, you might even find it in a better style or in a better shape. We always talk about knowing your body shape, knowing what you feel looks good on you, kind of, and what meets your style. That way you know that you will get wear out of it. And so something like this, instead of it being a full-on dress, you know, it being maybe a top or something that, you know, like what I have on is kind of like a V-neck. If you feel like you might get more wear out of it if it's that type of style, that might be something worth investing in. And of course, if you're buying it secondhand, you're not only getting it for a better deal. And you've seen this channel, the dress that I saw was at Nordstrom, and it was on sale for like $90, but the V-neck top that I saw on eBay was about $30, including shipping. So, you know, of course, it's always good to save money. It's more environmentally friendly, and if you would get more wear out of it with it being a top versus a dress, it's going to be win-win-win. So just kind of think about it like that. And definitely those textures and colors are always a wonderful way to, you know, celebrate the season. Now, just real quick, in the inspiration of textures and colors, it is winter time, so you will probably be wearing a lot of neutrals. You know, if I'm in North America, I'm in the United States, all the leaves have fallen off the trees, and the sun is setting really early now. So it does feel like, again, it feels like winter season. It's cold. You're seeing a lot of the gray and brown and black color palettes. You know, it's almost like the outside is what we're wearing on our bodies. Now, one way that you can kind of spice up or you know, upgrade regular winter neutrals is by adding texture or color. These are two very easy ways, you know, so even if you're wearing, like, for instance, if you're wearing two dark colors, like if you're wearing navy and black, if you're wearing, you know, black leather over a really textured kind of navy turtleneck, it causes a visual distinction between the two colors. And that's a nice, easy way to warm up what would be kind of a bland outfit. And I thought this was interesting, and I saw this, I think it was Anna Reid who had mentioned this in one of her style videos. You know, that color and texture are the ways that you really elevate just plain neutrals. And I actually came across a few pictures. There's a beautiful representation with the fashion designer or the fashion inspiration Iris Apfel. This was the lady who was like in her 90s, who would wear all those really fabulous, bright outfits. And I just wanted to put up a few pictures of how she did this really well. And when you think about her personality, she wears really bold, out there accessories. So you would think every single outfit she ever wore is just over the top. But if you look at it, you can see distinctly that she, believe it or not, she has a lot of Virgo in her chart too. She really does gravitate towards grays. Like, she likes the color gray, like dove gray, like Virgo gray. But her two other favorite colors are bright yellow and bright red. And you'll notice that even when, oh, and teal too. She likes kind of like a soft, warm kind of teal color, a cool teal color. And when you look at pictures of her, you'll notice that there's a few times that she's wearing like almost a straight solid color, but then what's happening is she's contrasting it with a pop of a contrasting, like a bright color, or she's doing monochrome, but she's doing it with textures like fur or, you know, different materials. So if you do silk against leather against fur in the same color palette, that adds a lot of visual depth. And so that's something to just keep in mind. You know, if you want to do regular neutral colors for the holiday, you can absolutely jazz that up, and you can do that with pieces that you have in your wardrobe. It's really, you know, just this week, I don't think I've worn anything brand new, and I've really come up with some combinations that are outside the box. So that's one way that you can have fun and feel decorative. You can, you know, decorate yourself. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about was holiday plaid. And so, of course, I remember, what was it, a few years ago, buffalo plaid was like the thing. It was like the trend of the season. I bet, you know, it would be taboo now. I think it was 2 years ago. So now if you see anybody wearing the buffalo plaid pajamas, you'd probably be like, oh, that's so out. You're so, you know, Hunger Games capital. Oh, that's so out of season. How can you be seen wearing that? But holiday plaids, particularly like the Scottish plaids, like the black and red with like gold and green in it, has always been a traditional holiday color, no matter what holiday you celebrate. And you know, one thing that I saw that I feel like is going to kind of percolate this season in particular is I had gone into Anthropologie, and I'd seen this beautiful just black and white plaid dress that had bow ties on the shoulders, and it was just really beautiful. It was kind of empire waisted. And first off, I really liked it. It is completely polyester garments, so, and it was pretty expensive. So it's one of those things where I probably will not end up buying it because it's made of a synthetic fiber, and I'm be buying it new. It's still pretty expensive. And the last thing is, it's a dress, and I have a lot of party dresses. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I would love to, you know, get my Judy Garland on and wear that coming into the holiday party. But then after that, again, almost like the velvet dress, how often would I wear it after that? How long would it take me to get to the 30 wears rule? And, you know, and the way they had it styled was really beautiful. And again, I know I'm not knocking it. You could absolutely, you know, go into, you know, you could absolutely style pretty dresses for other occasions. That's actually one of the style secrets you can do. Don't wait for a special occasion to wear your pretty dress. But what made me think of this, and what really made it warm and fuzzy for me, was that there is another book, and actually movie after it. If you are a Jane Austen fan, or if you really kind of like more traditional reading after watching things like Bridgerton, there is a wonderful book called Elizabeth Gaskell is the author. It's called Wives and Daughters, and Wives and Daughters came out right around the same time. It was like kind of after the Jane Austen era, and in that book, it's very similar to Pride and Prejudice and those type of Austen-like themes, and in that book, in that movie, it was a mini series on the BBC. There is a character named Molly, and Molly, her father is a doctor, and he's Scottish, and she, you know, he has this adorable Scottish accent, and in her time, and in England and in America too, all of the latest fashion came from Paris. So when you went into town to see the material that could be made into a dress, it was usually, again, like you see these really wild kind of patterns and colors, because, you know, Paris was the place to go, and it had all the latest fashion. And she goes to a party wearing this tartan, this plaid dress, and she looks so pretty because it's the latest fashion from Paris. But as she's going to dinner, they're like, "Oh, that's a very unique dress you're wearing there." And she says, "Yes, I got the material from town. It's latest from Paris, but my father took one look at me and said, that's not like any proper tartan he's ever seen." So it was meant endearingly. He wasn't criticizing her for it, but he was just like, "Oh my gosh, that's," you know, because in Scotland, every tartan pattern pertains to a family's clan. It's their colors. So it's almost like seeing, you know, it's almost like seeing your flag, your nation's flag in different colors. So, but I always think of that scene where she's like, "Oh, it's not like any proper tartan he's ever seen," but she feels so pretty because she's wearing the latest style from Paris. So that's kind of like how I feel about that dress that I saw. It was black and white, but you could really, you know, dress it up, and it was so pretty. And the empire waist was very Austen time as well, fashion-wise. It also just kind of reminds me of Vivienne Westwood. And I think we have not had a Met Gala in her honor yet, not to my knowledge. Let me know if I'm getting that wrong, but I have a feeling one is coming. And Vivienne Westwood was all about the plaid. She was about the corsets and about, you know, and I feel like, you know, that kind of plaid is kind of percolating. It's gonna, you know, we get our inspirations from these bridges in fashion. The other thing tying in and bridging from plaid is that Vivienne Westwood was all about the pearl earrings too. Like she was about like really dramatic, you know, layers of pearls, and I could kind of see that as well. I know in the last couple years this is not a new trend by any stretch. We've gotten away from the traditional strand of pearls, even though that is still my favorite. Just one strand of graduated pearls, like 1950s. I always feel like that looks real classy. I think 3 strands of pearls look really beautiful. But in the last couple years, you've seen mixtures of different types, like not your grandmother's type of pearls. You've seen, you know, different, you know, silver and pearl. But the pearl provider Mikimoto has actually had some really beautiful displays of like pearls and bows and draping of pearls. And I feel like if you really wanted to be at like style forward, doing a plaid dress and then drenched in pearls would be almost like a little bit, it'd be like a, you know, a kiss to Vivienne Westwood with her punk, foundation, but still be classy and kind of individual at Christmas time, or the holiday time. But all right, guys, so yep, we kind of filled up our time. I mean, again, I just think this is kind of what I'm seeing. I always encourage, again, look at it, try to get natural fibers. You can do this in silk, you can do this in wool, you can do this in linens or more natural materials. You can find cotton, and I've seen some beautiful plaid shirts in 100% organic cotton. So if you did decide to do something new, otherwise, you know, try to go secondhand. Try to look for jewelry, you know, as well. That always retains its value and looks really, really nice. And, you know, go for metallic accessories and things like that. Things that you can definitely get some good wear out of. Otherwise, just look through your closet, see about the colors and the textures to see what you can do. And I think we could really be, you know, stylish this holiday season. Well, I hope you enjoyed. If you like what you see here on this channel, I'd be very honored if you would like, comment, and subscribe. And if not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.